Hello, farmers, and welcome to another episode of The Harvest Season. My name is Rochelle.
And my name is Al.
And we're here today to talk about Pokemon farming games. Games. Woo!
Woo.
Pokemon. Oh, it's a heckin' Pokemon week, Al. It's a heckin' Pokemon week.
There's something about Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Did you see, Rochelle, that Pokemon Sword and Shield is now the fastest selling Switch game ever?
Yeah, because it's great.
Yeah.
And also mostly because you literally showed that to me.
After 3 days, it is now the 7th best selling Switch game.
In 3 days.
In 3 days.
As of recording this podcast, Pokemon had barely been out for a week.
Yeah.
And it's the best one. Pokemon.
So, I know this is show notes say the game name, but it kind of implies that there's going to be some context around that, not just saying the game name.
Nope. You get what you get.
Oh, dear.
So, dearest listeners, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Rochelle is in really, really hardcore Pokemon brain mode and is practically incapable of doing anything that is not Pokemon right now. So we're going to do some Pokemon-style farming for you. We're going to be talking about berry farming in the Pokemon series, which is the technically acceptable excuse for me to talk about Pokemon instead of a farming game.
We are now a Pokemon podcast.
A Pokemon farming podcast.
We thought this topic up like a week ago, and I have been so excited about how funny it is, and I'm sure no one else will find it as funny as we do, but we are relevant, so there we go.
Yeah, we do things. We do things like, first we're going to hit some feedback, and then the games we've been playing, spoilers, it's Pokemon. And then we're going to do the news, and then we're going to talk about our main topic, spoilers, it's Pokemon.
Although there won't be, there'll be one very specific spoiler about the game, and that's about the berries. So there won't be actually any story spoilers.
Correct.
Or Pokemon spoilers.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, unless you just blurt out the name of a specific Pokemon.
I'll do my best for you. I'll
just beep you out if you do it. How does that sound?
Just redacted me. I can redact it myself, thank you. I've gotten so good at just saying redacted real time. You don't even know. All right, so let's talk about feedback.
Yeah.
I almost said Pokemon again. Sorry. We're going to talk about feedback. We got a lovely email from listener Nicolette. Thank you for your email. It was fantastic. There are so many questions. Pokemon. Pokemon is wonderful. My starter was a Grookey.
And I chose Scorbunny.
So cute. It's so hard. They're all so good.
I think it's funny because I'm very much almost always choose the fire starter because I really enjoy having a fire starter to start with. Don't ask me why. But I was actually quite torn because I think Scorbunny's final evolution is not my favorite final evolution. But obviously we won't talk about exactly who that is. There we go.
I was torn because I love all of them very much, and especially the little animation in the beginning. And I'm just like, I want all of them. But I ended up choosing Grookey specifically because, so I always choose the grass starter. I've always been a grass starter person. And I know better now than to try and choose something else, even if I really like it. Because when X and Y came out, I really liked all of them, and I really loved Chespin, but I also really loved Fennekin, and I chose Fennekin. Then about an hour into playing, I literally broke down sobbing because I wanted a Chespin so badly, and I had to restart my whole game. So, I don't want to relive that experience. So I chose Grookey because I know like an hour into this game I would have sobbed and wanted Grookey so bad because Grookey is so cute. And then I actually got the other starters from doing the surprise trade, which I was surprised by. It was great. So
it living up to its name.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that we're not going to spend all the time talking about the new Pokemon games, but I do think that Surprise Trade is a much better name than Wonder Trade.
Yes, agreed. And then, in case you didn't pick it up from context, Nicolette asked what our starters were, and then basically asked if we'd consider covering Animal Crossing on this podcast, even though it's not technically a farming game.
We would never cover a game on this podcast that isn't a farming game.
Never. Of course. Would we? Will we?
I think the answer is we probably will at some point. Exactly what that means is a good question. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being the new game. But
honestly,
just because I can't get into a game doesn't mean that we don't cover it, as you've heard before. So
here's exactly what will happen. We'll be like, oh, that would be a fun topic to cover. And then the new game will come out, and like the very next episode, you'll hear, welcome to the harvest season. We're here to talk about Animal Crossing farming games. Because I will find a way. Just like we did with Pokemon. So yeah, we'll definitely probably talk about it. Animal Crossing is one of the most important things in the world to me. So yeah.
No promises that it will happen the week after it comes out, though. Just to say
I can't promise you a timeline. I just promise I will eventually make it happen. It is a long-term goal of mine.
I will eventually let it happen.
So we'll do some Animal Crossing. We told you our starters. And thank you very much for your feedback. And I'm glad you enjoyed the podcast. It makes me very happy and warm and fuzzy in these cold, cold winter times.
Yeah, thank you for your email. It was very nice to read, and we will definitely take what you say into consideration. If you want to send us an email and get mentioned on the podcast because of it, note, if we get too many emails, we won't mention them all on the podcast.
Wow, you're just
unlikely to happen.
Trying to bribe the listeners and not doing a good job.
Then you can go to harvestseason.club and email us from there and tell us nice things and make Rochelle happy.
You can also give constructive criticism, but you can't be a jerk. I mean, you can, but then you're a jerk. Feedback. So, Al, I have a very important question for you.
What's that?
What have you been playing recently?
That's a very good question. What have I been playing? I think I've been playing some Pokemon. There was a new game that came out recently. I don't know whether you knew that or not.
It sounds familiar. I don't know, though.
So I picked that up, and I've not put it down other than to work and to sleep and to look after my kids. And to record this podcast. I'm not playing it right now.
Oh, you're doing a lot better than me, man. You want to know what I've been playing recently?
What have you been playing recently, Rochelle?
I've been playing this new little indie game called Pokemon Sword and Shield. Shield specifically.
I've been playing Sword.
Perfect! Together we completely have the Galar experience.
Ooh.
Galar like Valor. It's weird. I keep wanting to say Galar, and realistically, I think it shouldn't matter, and it's fine. I think my thought on that is that y'all have like 35 trillion different accents, and if people say something slightly differently, I think you can manage it. So why can't I say Galar? But whatever.
I mean, you can. You might get mocked for it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I shouldn't be... Anyway, more importantly, I've been playing Pokemon, and unlike Al, I have not been putting it down to do things like sleep and record a podcast. I'm feeling really called out right now, just like going through my boxes of Pokemon as we're recording. They need to do jobs. I am in love with this game. It
is a good game.
It is very good.
I might go so far as to say it's my favorite so far, but I'm not quite at that point yet.
I know exactly how I feel about this game and where to place this. And it is that this is my second favorite region in all of Pokemon. My first would be Alola, and this is a very close second. I think because... So what I play Pokemon games for, I'm like a story and lore kind of person. Like, I couldn't care less about becoming champion or whatever, or battling. I'm notorious for not caring about battling in this Pokemon battle monster game. But I really like lore, and I really like character, and I really like story. And both of those regions have just tons and tons and tons of that. And I love it. And the defining factor is basically that a lot of the themes and the story in Alola, like, really deeply resonate with me personally. Whereas, like, in Galar, they're also very good and high quality, and there's lots of it, and I appreciate and love that. But it doesn't feel quite as, like, deeply personally relevant to me, if that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah. I think the one thing I would say is that if anybody says to me that this is just the same story rehashed again like every other Pokemon game, I'm going to rip their eyes off.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Same. I just, like... No, but, like, I get especially upset when people, like, compare it to Alola. Like, people are like, well, Hop is just a rehashed How. And I'm just like, they're two very different characters.
So different. You know, they only get that from that animation that came out in one of the trailers 6 months ago that wasn't even in the game.
Yeah, like, that's...
It never actually was in the game. It's almost like the game wasn't 100% finished, so they reused an animation for a trailer to get more hype for the game.
Wow, it's almost like it doesn't matter, and you should pay attention to trailers when on the bottom they say game footage not final in literally every single trailer. I'm sorry, that came across very snarky. I understand people's concerns, and people's concerns and worries are fair and legitimate, and it's okay to have those concerns and worries, but it turned out okay, so you can stop pretending it didn't turn out okay now. I love Hop. I love this game. I love the Pokemon. I have new favorite Pokemon. Not just one, but two. And one of them was completely unexpected.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would tell you, but Al will just cut it from the episode, so sorry.
But we are not here today to talk about Pokemon. Oh, wait. We are.
But not Rochelle's favorite Pokemon.
Not Rochelle's favorite Pokemon. There's another podcast for that.
First, we have to talk about the news.
Woo!
Guess what, everybody?
What?
Village Monsters is now in early access.
Woo!
Woo! I don't know when woo became our catchphrase, but it is.
I think about episode 2.
We're doing it. We're doing it. It's stuck. You're stuck with it.
We chose something that I can only sound sarcastic doing. Great success.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't remember, Village Monsters is a life/farming simulator where you are the only human in a world of monsters, and you have to make friendships with them and get to know them and live your life on this land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's now in early access.
It looks fun, and we'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
Yeah, woo! And speaking of updated, I'm really bad at these transitions. The Snacko Alpha is coming on the 25th of November. That's in, like, how many days after from when this comes out is that?
-2.
That's in -2 days, you guys. Y'all, -2 days. -2 days. Yeah. You have to be a $10 Patreon backer. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So
go get that alpha if you can. And make sure you can if you can't.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of alphas, the next one is a beta. We're going down the line. So Garden Story is in beta now.
For a limited time only.
Only until December 21st. So you've got like 3 weeks. Hop on it.
Hop.
Go be Oh, Hop. Hop. Hop is top 5 favorite characters in all of Pokemon for me. Anyway, that's not true. Probably top. Okay, look, this is really hard. Moving on. Top 10 for sure. And then what comes after beta?
Release.
No, updates.
Oh. Well, I mean, the main release comes before updates.
Okay, fine. Okay, we're skipping release because we don't have a release game. Sorry. My bad. And then if you skip release, then it's updates.
Yeah.
Oh, I could have made that work with this, but I chose not to, and that's fine. Updates.
Yeah,
so
we finally got the date for Stardew 1.4.
November 26th. That's in like -1 days.
Yeah.
So go get your Stardew update.
Well, it comes out then on PC. It will take a couple of weeks. Was it a couple of weeks? I think it was
within weeks. It will come to consoles and mobile.
Yes. All at the same time.
Mm-hmm. PC first, and then everything else.
Get hype.
Get excited. Get retro. Go back in time and get excited, and then download the PC update. And then last but not least, we have an update on a very important game that everyone's very excited about. Woman in Science has been delayed, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
But I don't think it was delayed terribly long, was it?
3 months.
Yeah, just like March of next year,
yeah.
2020.
Yeah, I feel like people will probably be busy in March, but...
March isn't even real. That's fine. So yeah, if you were like really looking forward to having drones do your farming for you, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer. Sorry. And that's the news.
Woo!
Woo! News. We love news.
We do.
News is great.
So, I guess this brings us on to our main topic. Pokemon!
Pokemon! Woo!
Berry farming. Or, I guess, slightly more wide than just berry farming. It's berries and how you get them in general. We're not actually going to talk about the individual berries, because we don't care what they do.
So, there's a lot of berries in Pokemon. I don't know if you're aware of this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there like more than 60 at this point?
There are. It depends which game you are, because they removed some in some of the games. But I think the most you got was 67 berries.
Which, I don't know if you're counting, but that's a lot. It is definitely technically a lot. A lot would be an accurate description of that number. So we're not going to list them for you because that's boring. Also, I don't feel like it. So,
no.
But we're going to go over just like, because they're really only, I guess, technically we could talk about like farming in the sense of just like Rochelle running around the world catching 1,500 of whatever Pokemon. That's not the same thing though. That's not what we talk about. We talk about farming. And the closest thing the Pokemon world has to that is berries. So we're just going to talk about berries. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So we're going to go through the history and tell you what each different generation had in terms of berries and how you farm them. Mm-hmm. Or forage, depending on which game. Because I guess some of them you technically weren't farming, you were foraging.
Those early gens were real rough.
Yes, definitely just the early gens.
Definitely just the early generations. So, speaking of early generations, I'm on a really slow roll today. First off, we have Generation 1, and these were the games. The main games were set in Kanto, and there were no berries because no berries exist.
Because let's be honest, it was a miracle that the game ever came out anyway.
Yeah, we're glad it did, but whoo boy. So there was nothing in Kanto in Generation 1. In Generation 2, which was Johto, I definitely break this down by region. Sorry, this is how I conceptualize the Pokemon
That's fine.
franchise. That's when berries were first introduced. There were 10 of them at that point. You couldn't plant them, but you could go around and shake different trees in the world, and it would give you one berry every day.
Yeah.
That's 10 berries a day.
I think, were there only 10 plants?
Probably. I'm scrolling.
I don't see exactly how many. I think there were more than 10 actual plants. It wasn't just one per berry.
10 different berries a day.
Oh, 10 different berries. Okay.
I mean, I didn't say the word different out loud, so sorry. That's my bad. You could get, I don't know, if you're lucky, one of each berry a day. That would be cool, right?
Yes.
Berries.
There were 23-ish berry trees.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. So you could get more than that though, because you could also get a berry as a consolation prize in the bug catching contest some days. So yeah, there were quite a few trees, and you could get one berry from each of them per day. Pretty simple. Not much in it in Gen 2. You couldn't plant anything. It was just foraging from trees.
But lest you be concerned forever that you could never become a true farmer in Pokemon and plant plants in the ground, in Generation 3, which was Hoenn, you could put berries in the ground and grow berry trees. So in Hoenn, there were a whopping 43 types of berries. And
that's an increase of 33.
That's so many.
That's many berries.
More than 4 times as many berries.
Yes.
That's a lot. So there were like little patches of soil in the ground in random places, and you could plant a berry and water it to increase your yield, and it would grow a little berry tree that you could get more berries from.
Yeah.
Which is cool and fun. And then that generation, we also had the Fire Red, Leaf Green remakes, which had the Sevi Islands, which had a berry forest where you couldn't plant berries, but it was a forest of berries.
Because we all know that Kanto can't have berries. So, can't put berries in Kanto.
Nope.
That's the one takeaway from this. No berries in Kanto.
Has a strict no berries policy. And I look forward to writing a fan fiction about it someday.
You canto get berries in Kanto.
That's a good one. I approve. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that I approve, but I approve.
I'm okay with it. Yeah, so these were the first games, the Hoenn games that was, that you could actually plant berries and be a farmer in Pokemon, which is exciting.
Trivia fact, Hoenn used to be my first favorite region, and then it was my second favorite region when Alola came out, and now it's my third favorite region. I like all the water, and I like all the berries, and I like all the trumpets. So, I'm a big Hoenn fan.
The other thing you could do with berries in Gen 3 is that you could make Pokeblocks from them. Which, as we all know, is very useful for the best feature of any Pokemon game, which is Pokemon contests.
Bring back Pokemon contests. I just love them. And I know that I am part of a small minority of a very passionate fan base for Pokemon contests, but Pokemon contests are my jam. Why don't we do that more often?
I couldn't tell you.
I don't want to be the battle champion. I don't care about being champion. I care about winning contests and filling my Pokedex. Anyway.
Speaking of Pokemon.
Winning.
After Gen 3, of course, comes Gen 4, where we're introduced to the Sinnoh region.
Sinnoh.
And in these games, there are 64 berries.
60? That is more than 43.
It is 21 more.
They are going wild at this point. They're just like adding berries left and right. They're just like, oh, who cares about game limitations? We need to add in 1 trillion berries.
If they're not careful, they won't be able to bring all the berries into future games because there'll be too many of them.
Ruthless.
But you'll find out about that later. Yes, so 64 berries, lots of berries. And this game introduces mulches.
Just to up your farming mechanic quality, mulches, which you would use on the ground before planting, which would do things like increase your yield, berry yield, and stuff like that. So, that's fun. It's kind of like using fertilizer in a Story of Seasons game.
Definitely. The other thing that Generation 4 introduced is that previously, in Generation 3, you increased the yield when you watered it. In Generation 4, if you don't water it, it lowers the yield.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually got to take care of your plants.
Mm-hmm. It takes some effort, man. Almost
Yeah.
like real farming. And then we also had the Berry Searcher, which, is that self-explanatory?
It helps you search for berries.
Yeah.
It was in Poketch. How do you say that? I've never said that out loud.
Well, neither have I, so I'm not going to be able to
Poketch.
help you.
So there was an app in the Poketch which allowed you to track where the mature berry trees were. So you could just look on your Poketch and see, oh, where are my berries? Where are they at?
And then just go right there.
Yeah.
No wandering around the whole world, checking everything, every day.
Which is very
for 3
useful.
hours in the wild area. We'll get there. I don't have a problem. Everything's fine. And then, that same generation, in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, there were berry pots
Portable
that you
berry
carried
pots.
with you.
They were in your bag.
I'm first
so
of all,
confused.
I loved this mechanic. It was wonderful. They're very cute little pots, and you'd grow little berry trees in them. As an adult, I'm like, this is like the equivalent of taking one of my plants, which live in a plant house in my room, and throwing it in my backpack and taking them to work. And it's horrifying. How do they...
I don't know who thought this up. This is such a weird mechanic, especially as Gold and Silver had berry trees.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you don't just re-implement that when you've already got all of the code from Diamond and Pearl, but...
It's fine. It's fine.
But, I mean, the important thing is Kanto still has no berries.
Mm-hmm.
You
They're
have to
still
take
doing
the
better
berries
than
there.
Kanto. Mm-hmm. That's probably why they're like, people are going to go back to Kanto, and there's not going to be berries there because Kanto can't do berries. So we'll have to let them carry them somehow. And so they put tiny little pots with little lids on them. It's cute. It's really cute. But also,
very
it's
impractical.
Weird. Yes.
Also in Generation 4, they added another new mechanic to use your berries, and that was you could make poffins, which are very different from Pokeblocks.
Definitely not anything like Pokeblock whatsoever.
They are completely different. I'm pretty sure they actually made that joke in the anime, where they were like, someone showed Ash the poffins, and he was like, oh, it's like a Pokeblock, and he got mocked for that. I can't remember. It was something like that. If you've been watching that, please tell me what I got wrong. But I'm pretty sure there was some episode where he gets confused about it not being a Pokeblock, it actually being a Poffin.
That 100% tracks for me. That's a very Ash thing to do. And then moving across an ocean, did you know that the first 4 regions are based on different parts of Japan?
I did.
And did you know that the next region is not based on Japan?
I also knew that.
Because the next region in Generation 5 was Unova.
Yeah.
And you thought Kanto was rough. Unova is like, berries, never. Only in your dreams. Literally, only in your dreams.
But only for a certain amount of time as well. Because what we're referring to is that you didn't have berries in the region itself. You had to do berries in the dream world, which, if you never played the Gen 5 games, the dream world was a really interesting mechanic where you could connect to a server and send a Pokemon to sleep, and it would go into the dream world, and there were like a bunch of things on a website, and one of these things included growing berries.
I kind of miss
the service has been shut down, so
yeah, I kind of miss the dream world. That was fun times. Fun times. Fun times that are gone and dead forever. So, no berries in Unova, literally only in your dreams. Now, literally only in your dreams and not the dreams of your Pokemon, because you can still play Gen 5, but you can't go to the dream world. So, sorry, man. They also took longer to grow because it was the dream world. And time isn't real in the dream world. Kind of like how time isn't real in dreams.
Yeah.
So that was a rough point in the history of our berry adventure. Then Gen 6 was Kalos, crossing another ocean, because Kalos is not based on Japan either, and it's also not based on part of the US like Unova was. Kalos had berries make a triumphant return, because I guess Game Freak heard the people when we said, "Where are my berries? I can't be a farmer." And they were like, you know what? You're right. We were horrible and made a mistake, and we're bringing it back better than before. So in Kalos, there were 67 berries. 67 berries. That's so
3 more.
So many berries. It's 3 more than Gen 4, but it's 67 more than Gen 5.
One of these new berries was related to the new fairy type.
So you had in Kalos not just berry farming, but a whole bunch of berry fields where you could plant many, many, many berry trees.
So many berry trees.
So many berry trees. If you were like me, you spent most of your time in that game farming berries. For what purpose? No one knows. You just farmed them to have them. I know some people farm berries because they use them in like battles and stuff like that. I think I went definitely a number of steps beyond that. I was just like, I'm going to get the max amount of every berry in this game. So you have to water your plants. You have mulches. But on top of that, you also have mutations of berries that would give you new berries. That was fun, right?
Yeah. Once you had a base set of the simple berries, you could make any berry that you wanted. Which is exciting.
Yeah, it's super cool. I love stuff like that. It kind of reminds me of Tartan in Another Wonderful Life, who would just take your seeds and combine them into new plants. Anyway,
yeah, so you could mutate berries by planting them next to each other, and you would sometimes get a mutation, and one of your berry trees would have the normal berry that is expected, but also this new berry, which is a combination of the two.
Some good cross-pollination happening between the two.
Yeah, something about Mendel.
Oh, you're right. I'm so proud of you.
The other thing that Generation 6 brought was a new mechanic of weeds and pests. So previously all you needed to care about was watering and mulches, but in this one there were some weeds and pests, which is fun.
Yeah, which is super fun. So you'd have to like weed weeds out of your trees as they grow, and then like the pests are Pokemon who would jump down and attack you if you checked on your tree. And every time you would get rid of weeds or pests, it would increase your yield of berries for when the tree ripens. So it's worth doing. Always do it. Farm. Pay a lot of attention to farming berries in this game. Don't do anything in this game other than farming berries. You don't need to be the champion of Kalos if you have max berries in your bag. So,
I mean, you can do both.
I'm making a face right now. I'm sorry. I'm just like, what? No. I have a clear agenda, Al.
The other mechanic that this game brought, which I didn't write in the show notes, sorry, was that you could use the berries to make berry juices.
Which is nothing like Poffins
or Pokeblocks.
It's
completely, because this is a liquid. It's a juice. So there you go. Also in Gen 6 was the remake of Ruby and Sapphire, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And that continued the trend of disappointing berry farming in remakes by deciding that they would go back to basically how Gen 3 works.
So if you can't remember from 5 hours ago in our podcast, that was the game where you just planted berries in soil in random places in the world and watered it. And
that was it.
And that's it. That's all you do. So,
yep.
So on the one hand, this generation, you have the most complex and fun berry farming. And on the other hand, you have pretty basic berry farming. And it averages out to be pretty good. They made up for the lack of berry farming by letting you fly around in the sky on a legendary Pokemon.
Yeah. That was fun. I still miss that.
It was very fun.
Out of
good music.
Features that I miss from old Pokemon games, that might be number one, I think.
That was so much fun. And you like go around the map and like you'd see the map and there were like Hoopa rings everywhere. And Hoopa's my favorite Pokemon. And it was so good.
They got quite close to it in Let's Go, but it wasn't quite the same because you couldn't fly between routes.
Yeah.
But it was better than nothing.
Yeah. I'll take it. And then we had my favorite generation, Generation 7, which was Alola, which had the Pokepelago, which was a little place where your Pokemon could go and hang out when they're in the boxes on this cute little set of islands. And there was Isle of Plenty. Is that how you say that? I don't know.
Isle of Plenty.
Isle of Plenty. I'm choosing to believe.
Isle of Plenty. I feel like it's a pun, but I'm not sure what the pun is.
Like plentiful?
Possibly.
I don't know. The answer is I don't know. So that's the honest answer I can give you. So there's Isle of Plenty. We're going to call it Isle of Plenty. Listeners are like, are you okay? So there's Isle of Plenty where you have 3 berry fields and you can plant berries in your berry fields. And they take some multiple of 24 hours each to grow. And you can put your little Pokemon to work in the berry fields. And they're like, well, I like doing this job. Or some of them times they'll be like, this Pokemon doesn't seem very happy here. And you're like, well, that sucks. And then you don't do anything about it. Because once you send a Pokemon there, you can't take them out till they're done. There is a mechanic where you use Pokebeans to increase the quality of your islands. So the more you upgrade your island, you get more fields. It increases your yields. You can use Pokebeans to make your plants grow faster. Like I said, I'm pretty sure all of them go in like increments of 24 hours. So like some berries will grow in 24 or 48, etc. Or you could add Pokebeans and it'll give it like 1 or 2 or 3 times faster or whatever. Because Pokebeans are definitely not like Poffins.
Nothing like it. Or berry juice.
Yeah, they're beans, not baked treats or juice or squished berries. They're beans. And then you had Let's Go, Pikachu, and Let's Go Eevee, or as I affectionately call it, Pokemon Lego, which had nothing because it takes place in Kanto, and Kanto doesn't have berries. They don't allow berries in their region.
Listen, it's important to note that you can't farm berries in Kanto. That's all we're saying.
It may be the most important thing you learn from this entire episode.
If there's any takeaway, it's that Kanto doesn't have berry farming. Or that, the best berry farming is Gen 6, of course.
They did have... We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Sorry. Yes, we've still got one more important thing to cover.
So, I don't know if you knew this, but this new Pokemon game came out recently.
Yeah.
Generation 8, which takes place in Galar, which also crossed an ocean to get to, but not as much ocean as the last time.
I'm sorry. From Alola. It's the other side of the world. Literally, you can't get any further away than that.
Okay, so maybe more ocean and also more land than the last one. That joke tanked real fast. We're gonna cover
was that
this.
meant to be a joke? I didn't get it.
It's okay. If you didn't get it, neither did the listeners. So,
oh, dear.
So there's no actually berry farming in the new games, but there are lots and lots of berry trees. Rather than having like different berries grow on different individual trees, you have berry trees that each one will give you like 3 or 4 different types of berries per tree, and different trees in the world will give you different sets of berries. You shake them, and then it'll be like 2 berries fell on the ground. Do you want to keep going? And you can keep going. And the more you keep going, the greater the chance that actually a Pokemon will come out and attack you. And then if that happens, while you're battling the Pokemon, some of the random Pokemon in the world will come and take away some of your berries. So it's kind of like a gamble every time. I think the most I've gotten to, I got 13 berries once.
Wow. I think the most I got was 8. But then I'm probably not foraging as many berries as you.
I definitely don't. Okay, for context, all of the berry trees are in the wild area. And
That's
I
not
definitely...
True.
What?
That's not true.
Where are there more berry trees?
There are berry trees on many routes. I have only
right.
got
Roots
berries
exist.
from roots.
I forgot roots exist.
I mean, is the wild area so big that you have literally got lost in there for so long that you've forgotten that anything else exists?
Actually, what it is that when you first get to the wild area, it's at the beginning of the game. It's like before the first gym. And I was like, I want to see what this story is all about. So I literally walked in the shortest possible route through the wild area to get to where I was going. And then I didn't go back until I had beaten Gym 8. And that was on Sunday. And this game came out on Friday, and that was on Sunday. And then what happened is since then, I have done nothing. But, like, I've been filling up my Pokedex. I'm very close to having a complete Pokedex at this point. Very, very close. I think I have, like 335 Pokemon in my Pokedex right now. So, as you could probably assume from where the story is going, that means I've spent a lot of time in the wild area for the first time playing this game at all. And let me tell you, I know that whole place by heart. I know where everything is. I know where every berry tree is, and I shake every berry tree every day, and it definitely only takes me a few hours every day to go through the whole wild area. So I have a lot of berries, which is important because in this game, you use them for curry, which is nothing like poke beans.
It's completely different because you can put sausages in it.
And cups of noodles.
Obviously.
And apples. And...
Yep. And generic fried foods. That's the Scottish influence.
I am not gonna lie. I freaked out when like a random person in the wild area gave me like a package of fried food, and I was like, "What?" Al, my literal first thought was, "Al will love this." And I don't know if that's how you feel, but that's what I thought.
I don't know if love is the right word.
What is the right word?
I really don't know.
You're just
fried food isn't a food; it's a type of food.
Yeah.
It depends what fried food I'm being given, right?
Well, I assume you can just decide whatever it is. Does it show it when you cook it in curry?
I think it just shows it as generic fried lumps, because everything that's fried is just like the same color, right? It's just in a different shape depending on what it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I gotta work on that curry.
Is it a fried sausage? Is it a fried Mars bar? We'll never know.
I was gonna be like, I don't know. That sounds a little too weird to put a fried Mars bar in there. But then again, if you've seen some of the curries in this game, but yeah, you use berries. I guess for battling items or whatever. But more importantly, you use berries in this game to make curry. To feed your Pokemon. They're a primary ingredient in the curry mechanic of this game, which is cool and fun. And by the way, I love curry. It's one of my favorite foods. It's more like one of my favorite categories of foods. It's a very broad category of food.
Yeah, I also like curries.
I definitely probably made a whole bunch of curry and ate that all weekend while I played Pokemon.
I'm not going to lie, I've had curry twice in the last week. But, man. That's not that unusual for me. I did go through a period of my life where we were having curry once a week.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm a big curry fan, so I'm not going to judge. You can also buy them. Berries, not curries. You have to make your own curry.
Yes.
But you can buy berries, which, that feels new.
That's huge. I don't know whether it's 100% new. I think in previous games you could buy some berries at some point, but I feel like this is a much bigger way of dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can buy all the berries, I think, and it's like not limited. I might be wrong.
I think you can. Isn't it like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the stocks for a lot of the stores rotate? Not like in the town stores, but in the wild area. Like all the people who sell stuff, their stocks rotate every day. So is it something like that?
possibly. Yes, you can certainly buy some of them, if not all of them, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm. Go collect your berries. Go make your curries. Go catch Rochelle's new favorite Pokemon. There's 2 of them. And if you can guess which ones and tweet them at me, I will give you respect and a shout out on the next podcast.
So, in conclusion, Gen 6 is best.
For sure. Gen 6 has like legit farming game mechanics in your berry farming and a huge place to do it. And it's super fun. And I will say, if you feel like playing an older Pokemon game right now, or maybe you want to play Pokemon because everyone's excited about Pokemon, but you don't have a Switch, it's worth going back to X and Y. Like, I played them again recently, like within the last year, and like they hold up really well. The game is really pretty. It's well made.
The proportions of the people feel a bit weird because they're drastically changed since then. But other than that, good game. And I do think that the berry mechanics in that game are, rivaling of some simple actual farming games.
Mm-hmm.
So if you enjoy farming and you enjoy Pokemon, you could probably get lost in those berry fields. So if you haven't played X and Y, it's go try it out, see what it's like.
Yeah, for sure.
But I guess they must have realised after they made that game that they'd accidentally been making a whole game inside the game and decided to stop doing that again.
You're like, wait a minute, we're a Battle Monsters game, not a farming game.
Wouldn't you love to be the team that just worked on the berry farming mechanics of the next Pokemon game? And it's like, that's all you did. You just focused on the berry farming mechanics.
Yeah, heck yeah. True story, I got made fun of yesterday because I was like, you know what I really want to do? I kind of just want to be your mom in Galar. Like, she has these really cute overalls and these really cute wellies, and she just lives on this little farm. I presume she's a Wooloo farmer. That very much seems to be the case, because I think your whole town is Wooloo farmers. A very tiny little farming town. I'm just like, I want to play the game where I just live as your cute mom and I farm berries and raise Wooloo. And someone was like, you've played that game. It's called Stardew Valley. And I'm like, oh, okay. You're not wrong. But I hope there's a really fun, intricate berry farming thing in the next generation. That would be really fun.
I'm not going to hold any hope out, but yeah, that would be nice.
I mean, by the time that we get there, I hope that I forget that I hope that, because I learned with this. I've been on an adventure with learning to have appropriate hopes and fears for upcoming games with the last few Pokemon games. So, but that can be a story for another day.
Yeah.
So that's your overview of berry farming in the Pokemon universe. I hope you enjoyed this excuse for me to talk about Pokemon, because that's all I can think about.
Quite a contrast to last episode. We hope you enjoyed the change of tone.
Mm-hmm. If you would like to tell us all about your favorite Pokemon thoughts, you can visit our website, harvestseason.club, and email us. You can tweet at us at THSPod, which stands for the Harvest Season Podcast. You can, if you can guess which are my 2 new top 10 favorite Pokemon from the new generation of Pokemon, you can tweet at me at Miss Delaney with 2 L's. If
you want to talk to me about Pokemon, because let's be honest, I'm also only just thinking about Pokemon just now, you can find me at the Scottbot. Scott has only 1 T.
And until next time,
have a good harvest.
The Harvest Season is created by Rochelle Delaney and Al McKinley. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess.
Feel free to visit our website, theharvestseason.club, for show notes, including links to things we discussed and transcripts for every episode. Thanks for listening.
Have a good berry harvest. Woo.
Have a good Pokemon harvest.
Pokemon. Did I tell you that I caught a shiny
Pokefest.
Pokemon yesterday?
I saw on Twitter, and it's a good shining.
I'm so excited. It's such a good Pokemon. I love it.